Gita Mahatmya.
Yeah, so this verse is from Gita Mahatmya, I think verse number 12, and it says, Sadhur Gitam Bhasi Snanam Samsara Mala Nashanam Shraddha Hi Nasyatam Karyam Hasti Snanam Vartaivatat. So it says, bathing in the pure waters of the Gita, the devotees are liberated from contamination of the mundane world. But such an attempt by faithless persons is utterly useless, like the elephants bathing and immediately rolling in the dust afterwards. So devotees who, sadhor means devotees who have faith in the Lord and faith in the words of the Lord. So when they repeatedly hear and they repeatedly recite and understand the Bhagavad Gita, so that is like bathing in the pure waters of Gita, and they're liberated from the contamination of the material mundane world. But then one who does not have faith in the Lord, in the instructions of the Lord, then for him the reading of Bhagavad Gita, the recitation of Bhagavad Gita verses has no value. Like the bath taken by an elephant. The elephant will go take bath, but when it comes out, it rolls in the dust. It throws the dust on its body. So what is the point of such bathing? So this is a beautiful verse from the Bhagavad Gita Mahatmya. So we'll now, as Sukiti was saying, we'll recite the verses.
We'll
Our
recite
Mangala
the
Charan.
prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapad Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langaitem girim yat kripa tavaham bande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. So we welcome all of you for this session of Gita Mastery course. And before we begin the session, as always, we will get into the quiz. So here it comes on your screen. So please take your time, read the questions carefully and answer it with respect to the last session. We expect you to attain at least 90%. So all the best. Haribol. Okay, so the responses have started coming in. Sivakami, you are asking that no questions are there. We have already shared. Kindly check into the poll. Click on the top left corner where the poll would be written. Click there and the questions would appear on your screen. It's already shared and devotees are already answering. And we have also shared the attendance link. So once you are done, 43% of you have already completed. So you can share your, mark your attendance also. Okay, so last 30 seconds. We'll wait for 30 more seconds and then we will close the poll. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So here we end the quiz. And there goes the results. So question number 1, Krishna talks about two types of people in verse 25. They are, so if we remember verse 25, there was a classification based on who is learned and who is ignorant. So the correct answer is 2. We also made a tabular presentation. The learned one and the ignorant one, and the learned one are the detached ones, and those who are ignorant are the attached people. So we discussed it at great length, and correct answer is 2.
Question number 2, learned person should not ask the ignorant to stop work, else it will disrupt their mind. So the first option is the right answer. And those of you who did not get it right, this is directly mentioned in the verse translation. So it is important that after the session is over, we go back through those verses, we go through the notes. If required, we can go through the whole session again. So that we really recommend that that you have a pre-assignment before the session. You can go through those verses. After the session, also go through the verses, consolidate your learning, go through the notes. So, and then you come for the quiz. So then you will maximize your chances of getting the right answer.
Question number 3, a wise person let the ignorant continue the work and also engages the ignorant in Krishna conscious activities. So the correct answer is 3, both A and B.
Question number 4, how does ignorant acts? He thinks himself to be the doer. So that's the right answer, and most of you got it right. If you notice in this question, the second option cannot be true, cannot be one of the answers. So therefore, all of the above does not really fit in.
Question number 5, how does the devotee inspire others? So as we remember, the section itself was titled as exemplary lifestyle. So the correct option is option number 1, by leading an exemplary balanced life.
Question number 6, Krishna conclusively instructs Arjuna to. All of the above is the right answer. That was in the particular verse. All the points are mentioned in that verse.
Question number 7, the 2 prerequisites for spiritual progress are faith and non-envious, and 98% of you have got it right.
Question number 8, the 2 stumbling blocks in spiritual progress. Now, I want to attract all of your attention. Please listen to this carefully. That did we read the question carefully? Did we read the question carefully? The 2 stumbling blocks. Yes, I remember we discussed this in the last session. In spiritual progress, yes. Our attachment, yes, the answer is true. But if you read our attachment and affection, no, it's not affection. Can somebody type what is the right answer there? Yes, Avni and Niyati is writing attachment and aversion. That's the right answer. So therefore, question number 8, the right answer is false.
Question number 9, it is all right to perform one's duty even if one is unable to do it perfectly. And the correct answer is true.
Question number 10, the ignorant understands the difference between the work in devotion and work in fruitive action. So the correct answer is false, because the ignorant does not understand the difference between the 2.
So here we end with the quiz today. Some of you might be wondering as how come I'm speaking from a separate window. So actually the thing is that Prabhu and I am at different locations today. I have come to Lucknow. So I am from Lucknow and Prabhu is still in Chennai. So that is how you may find it a little crisscross, like me here, he there. We will try to serve you with best of our capacities. And now we are entering into the last section of chapter 3. And with this, my dear devotees, we will complete 1/6 of Bhagavad Gita. So 3 chapters, intense, in-depth study, word by word, verse by verse, purport by purport, translation by translation. We would be covering everything. So a big congratulations to all of you. And here we are getting into the last section, verse number 36 to 43, only 7 verses, but very, very important 7 verses. Lot of practical applications, lot of things which we need to understand as what goes on within us. So we need to understand the biggest challenge. Arjuna vacha athkena prayuktoyam papam charati purusha anichan api varshneya baladeva niyojitaha. So now if we remember last class, verse number 34, Krishna was talking about, which we also discussed, that is the purpose of Bhagavad Gita, because Krishna was telling that, oh Arjun, offer all the results of your actions to me, inculcate knowledge about me, surrender unto me, and in that way perform your prescribed duty, which is fight. So that is what Arjun was being instructed by Arjun in verse number 34, to carry on with fighting. Now here, so when Krishna says that time Arjun felt very happy and excited, and I can do that. But then he starts thinking that at times, what is it like? Theoretically, I understand that this is what I'm supposed to do. But then I feel that there is something which forces me not to do my duty, which forces me without my desire. Though I want to do my duty, but at some occasions I find that there is something or someone who forces me not to do so. So this is what Arjun is asking here. Ath kena prayuktoham papam charati purushaha. Papam means sins. And so a man is impelled to act sinfully. He is asking what happens then. And he uses the word anichan. Anichan means without any ichha or without desire. So he is forced against his desire. Balad eva niyojitaha. Balad has come from the word bal. Bala means force. So Arjun said, O descendant of Vrishni, by what is one impelled to sinful acts, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force? So here basically Arjun is asking that yes, many times it happens, I understand, technically I understand, but I'm not able to do so. So what is that force? So let's look into the insight here, that what is that invisible force which forces one for sin? So here Prabhupada describes in the purport, he talks about two different striking nature. One is our original nature. Our, when I say our original nature, or when I say my original nature, I am referring to me as a soul. So there is an original nature of the soul. The soul is originally pure and sinless, does not want to commit any sin, because soul is Sat Chit Anand, soul is in complete knowledge. So it does not want to commit any sin, and it is completely pure. But then this material nature which we have acquired. So last time we were discussing about the acquired nature of the soul. So the acquired nature, it gives up the duty and acts sinfully. It forces one to leave the duties and act sinfully. It is just like, for example, we make many resolves in our life, like New Year time, and we take New Year resolution, or Kartik month was there, and we take Damodar vows. So different time we take different resolves. So like for example, I take a resolve that I would attend all Gita Mastery classes, but then I fail sometimes. Or I want to chant at least 4 rounds because I have been hearing so much about chanting. So I take a decision that I'll chant 4 rounds, but then some day some guests come and we get busy and boom, that's gone. Or for example, I decide that I read Bhagavad Gita every day, maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes, but I'll read it every day. But then what happens? Weekend comes and we have some other plans for the weekend, and again, it goes for a toss. Or like during Corona time, pandemic time, staying at home, we all may have put on some extra kgs because the gym was not working and all that. So now we decide that we will go on a very healthy diet. I'll go for jogging in the morning and I'll go for a healthy diet. But what happened? Again, something happens and it gets disrupted. So what is happening is, there are certain things which I decide to do, which I understand that I should do, which I really want to do. But then at times I am forced, balad, and that too against my will. Anicham api varshnya. Against my will, I am forced to perform certain things. So, what are those things? How am I forced? That is the question of Arjun here. So, let's see what Krishna responds here. The next verse, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kama Esha Krodha Esha Rajo Guna Samudbhavaha Mahashno Mahapapma Vidyena Meha Vairinam. So Krishna is responding, and the first word itself, he's giving the meaning. He is using two words, Kam and Krodh. So he's saying Kam Esha, Krodh Esha, Rajoguna Samudbhava. So when this Kam or lust comes in contact with Rajogun or passion, so that is that enemy which forces us, or that is our biggest challenge. So this verse translation says that Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it's lust only, Arjun, which is born of contact with material mode of passion and later transformed into wrath, and which is all devouring sinful enemy of this world. So Krishna is talking about two things, Kama and Krodh, or lust and wrath. Wrath means intensified anger. So these two things Krishna is talking about. Let's see the insight of this verse. Prabhu, you need to unmute yourself.
If you look at the people in the material world, and if you look at the devotees in the spiritual world, so there is a difference between them. What is the difference between them? That people, devotees in the spiritual world have real love, which means they have greater concern, and their focus is on how to serve Krishna, because he's the object of love. So their devotees have real love, but that same tendency to love when directed towards ourselves, that is self-love. That is how it becomes in the material world. So everybody in the material world, they have the same tendency as the people in the spiritual world, same tendency to love. But in the material world, that tendency to love is directed towards own self. So whether it is any relationship, whether it's a relationship with parents, relationship with children, relationship with friends and family and relatives, all that, at some point in time, we really discover that I am in this relationship because I'm getting something in this relationship. If I absolutely have nothing to gain in this relationship, I may not continue with that relationship. So there is some self-interest which is involved. So that is the major difference. So in the spiritual world exists love, pure love. In the material world, that is transmuted. It is mutated into lust, because that sense of love is directed towards myself. I love me, I love myself, and whatever serves my purposes and my desires is what I like. So that is how it transforms. Like there is milk, but when that milk comes in contact with some sour agent, then it curdles or it becomes into curd. So similarly, that pure love transforms into lust, that same tendency. And we cannot blame anyone for that. It is just the how we have used our free will. So Krishna gives free will to you, to me, to everybody in the entire creation. And how do we use that free will? Where do I, which direction do I give to this sense of love? Towards the Supreme Lord and his parts and parcels, or do I direct this sense of love towards myself? So that is a choice which I make. The moment I modify that choice from self-love to loving God, that's a time when the whole situation will change. So that is one. And then we see Krishna is saying it is lust only, right? So this enemy or this force is lust, which is pushing us, sometimes even against our desires, it pushes us. So that is lust. And when this lust arises from the mode of passion, the Rajogun, right? This arises from Rajogun. And we again have experience, especially we can see in children, it is more expressive in children, but it exists in all age groups. So when a child wants something and the parents feel that no, this is not okay for the child, then how does the child react? The child will cry, will throw tantrums, will scream. Sometimes they will sulk, whatever, So there's more visible in child, but similar reaction is expressed by all. So when we are intensely desiring something, when we are lusting after something and it gets obstructed, what happens? There's great amount of anger which arises in our heart. So then from lust, which arises from Rajogun, and this lust, when it meets an obstruction, then anger arises, which is from the Tamogun or mode of ignorance. So that is the usual thing which is happening, which happens around all around us. If you look at news and you see some crimes happening, and many of those crimes are crimes of passion, love failure or whatever. So there are some crimes of passion. That why? Because that lust is obstructed, great anger arose, and the person did something criminal. Okay, but when that lust is combined with goodness, then that lust can be controlled. So we have a very beautiful picture of Hanumanji, who has just accomplished his goal. The whole Lanka is burning. You can see backside, the whole Lanka is on fire. So we see how Hanumanji was sent as a messenger by Lord Ram, and he
has accomplished mission impossible.
Yes. So he jumped all the way to Lanka. He could identify, locate Mother Sita, identify her positively, surrendered to her, in fact, accepted her as his guru, and then offered her the message of Lord Ram, in turn received the message for Lord Ram from Mother Sita. And then he wanted to assess the prowess and the power of Ravan and Lanka. So he went around and he challenged and he created a huge havoc. Finally, he was arrested and then he was brought in front of Ravan, and Ravan foolishly tried to put fire to the tail of Hanumanji. And there Mother Sita was praying that, oh Agni Dev, don't let that fire burn Hanuman's tail. And Hanumanji is feeling, what happened? My tail is burning, but I'm feeling very cool. So anyway, so he jumped around different the palaces and houses of different demons there, and they were put on fire, and those walls were made of gold and they had gems. And because of such intense heat of the whole place being burnt up, there were rivers of gold where those gems were flowing in them. So that is how Hanumanji used his intense anger against Ravan, to create a havoc and at the same time assess the military preparedness and the strength of Ravan and his army. So that is how the anger can also be used. If somebody directs some insult against me, I must tolerate. But if that same insult is directed against the Lord or his devotees, then that anger has to be used for correcting the situation.
And from this, we get this very interesting life lesson. Look at those beautiful butterflies flying in the sky. So we can also similarly become completely free. As of now, we are tied with these shackles, but these shackles can be removed and we can become free, break free from the bondage, overcome the biggest enemy, transform your negatives into strengths by simple process of Krishna consciousness. So we can actually transform our lower emotions. So we were talking about lust and we were talking about wrath, and we took an example of Hanumanji and how he transformed anger is as such a lower emotion, but how he transformed this lower emotion also in the service of the Supreme Lord. So same thing we can also do. We can also transform our negativities. We can transform our enemies into our strength by the process of Krishna consciousness.
And the process of Krishna consciousness, to see it very, very simply, is we can see here that what right now we are doing is we are desiring everything for me, everything for me. So that is where there is an object and everybody is trying to grab it. But if we transform that by desiring everything for Krishna, that transforms that lust to love. The letters beginning is both L. Lust starts with L, love starts with L. But that's how we transform lust into love. When I desire everything for Krishna, when I see that everything be used in Krishna's service.
धूमेनाव्रियते वह्निर् यथा दर्शो मलेन च यथोल्बेनावृतो गर्भस् तथा तेनेदमावृतम्. So now Krishna is giving further information about lust, or the biggest enemy what we have according to Krishna. So this is the biggest enemy, and some more information about lust, and Krishna is giving 3 very, very graphic examples. So if you will just remember this example, just these pictures, just these visuals, we will remember a lot of things. So let's see what are these 3 examples. So first line, it says dhumen avriyate vahnir. So dhumena means smoke. So smoke is there. Avriyate means covering. So smoke is covering. What is it covering? Vahnir. Vahni is fire. So just like fire is covered by smoke. Second, he says yatha darsho malena cha. Adarsho means a mirror. So just like a mirror is covered by malena. Malena comes from word mala or dust. So just like how a mirror is covered by dust. Yathol benavrayato garbhas. So just like the garb is the embryo, just like the embryo is covered by ulbena, or ulbena is the womb. So just like the womb covers the embryo tatha tenedam avratam. So this way the lust covers the living entity. So he's giving three examples. One is as fire covers the smoke. Second is as dust covers the mirror. And third example is as the womb covers the embryo. So you see there are three different type of example he's choosing, and he says this is how lust covers us. So who's this us here? The pure, the original nature of soul. So that gets covered by lust. So the insights for this verse here, it is the 3 degrees of covering is being explained, and the first degree of covering, I mean the first one which we have mentioned here, is it's a very very deep covering, just like the fetus. Now fetus, when it is inside the womb, from outside we cannot perceive the baby at all. We don't know what is the sex of the baby, we don't know what is the weight of the baby, we don't know what is the complexion of the baby. We cannot see the baby at all from outside. So it is such thick covering. Also, when the baby is inside the womb, it cannot perform most of its function, rather all of its function. Just the heart beats and the food is automatically going to his mouth, but otherwise the baby does not perform any of the functions. When we talk about the second covering, so the middle one, now there is a mirror which is covered by dust. So now if the mirror is there and it is covered by dust, now the purpose of the mirror is that I want to see my reflection, and that is why I need the mirror. But if the mirror is thickly covered by dust, I cannot really see my reflection. But what may happen is I still understand that it is a mirror. So at least the size and shape of the mirror can be perceived, though I cannot, though it is able to perform its function. And the third example which is given is just like the smoke is covering the fire. So this particular covering is a little shallow because fire is still performing its function. If we go near it, so though it is all smoky, but we can still feel the heat. And if we wait for a little while, we would see the light also. So the function is being performed, though there also there is a thin covering of smoke. So these are the 3 degrees to which this lust actually covers up or contaminates our consciousness. So a
So
little more about it. Yes.
So we have the example. So as the fire is covering, but the function of fire is there, it is still burning. So that is compared to human being. There, human being has a covering of lust, but it is shallow. It can be breached, which means that in human form, the living entity can actually begin the process of Krishna consciousness, can begin spiritual life. So that is possible because the covering is very shallow, it is very thin, it is like smoke, it can be driven away, and the fire can really burn very big and bright. So that is possible. But when we look at the mirror, the covering is a little more deep, and one cannot really see the reflection, which means it is not possible to remember spiritual knowledge. It is not possible to understand that I'm not this body, I'm spirit, soul. And in this category are the animals and the birds that we see around us. So they're also living entities, they're also spirit souls, but the covering of lust is more thicker, and therefore they cannot understand who they really are. So for example, you would not have ever come across say a situation where the dogs on the street sometime get together in the corner and they're all discussing what is the purpose of our life, what will happen after death. So we will never find animals having that kind of a conversation. Or for example, in Chennai, I've seen sometimes there's so many crows which will get together and they will cow. They will be whatever, squeaking or speaking, but they can never come to a point of starting a spiritual life or remembering, understanding that they are not this body, spirit, soul. So that is not possible. And further down, the deepest or the thickest covering of lust, and those species are trees and plants. So we can see ourselves that they're also spirit souls, same spirit soul in quality as we are. They are also spirit particles, they are also living entities, but they have such thick covering of lust that they're almost unconscious. They have very, very limited exhibition of consciousness. So that is how we can see that what this lust is capable of doing. So if as a human being, if I give in to my lust, then definitely I will degrade from this human form to an animal form, or even to a plant or a tree form. Because many people think once I've got human form, I will always be human. No, that is not true. Right? That's why these coverings are there. And so we have to be very careful how much do we give into our lust. All of us, most of us celebrated the Damodar month, and we remember that how Narad Muni came across these two brothers. They were devatas, they were sons of Kuvera, very, very powerful personality. And what they were doing, they were just blatantly, they were exhibiting their lust, bathing naked and enjoying with heavenly damsels. That's what they were doing. And Narad Muni said, if you want to be, if you are behaving that way and you have no remorse for what you're doing, which means this human or the devata form is not fit for you. You must take the form of the trees. And that's how Narad Muni cursed them to become trees, because of the explicit exhibition of this lust. So we have life lessons here. Overcome the fire of passionate emotions by surrender and devotion. Otherwise, it is so difficult. We may identify the enemy. Lust is my enemy, but how do I control it? I'm feeling helpless. I'm not able to control it. Like Arjun is saying, that it is like a force against my desire. It is pushing me. So the way is by surrender and devotion. If I surrender to the Lord and I request Him and I pray to Him that He protects us, and I engage in His devotional service, then I will get the power and the strength to overcome this enemy. So we'll go to the next verse, verse number 39. Avritam jnanametena jnanino nitya vairina kama rupena kaunteya dushpurena nalena cha. Thus, the wise living entity's pure consciousness becomes covered by his eternal enemy in the form of lust, which is never satisfied and which burns like fire. So here it says, thus the wise living entity's pure consciousness becomes covered by his eternal enemy in the form of lust. So avritam jnanam, which means this knowledge, this understanding, this realization that I'm not this body, I'm actually spirit soul, gets covered. Avritam, it gets covered by this eternal enemy in the form of lust. So all of us, most of us, some of you were sharing that you have read Bhagavad Gita in the past, but we saw that how Gita Made Easy brought this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita right to the front of our eyes, and we could understand that we're not this body. But all these years that we have lived, we never really had that understanding or realization. So what was keeping us from that realization? It was nothing but the covering of this lust, this eternal enemy. Eternal enemy. Why eternal enemy? Because it covered our knowledge in this lifetime. It did the same thing in the previous lifetime. It did the same in all the previous lifetimes. And if we do not change it now, if we do not use our free will to surrender and to render devotional service to the Lord, it will continue to be our enemy birth after birth. So that is why Krishna is using the word Nitya Vairina. So it is our eternal enemy. This coronavirus will come and go, but lust, once it is infected us, it will not just go away. We need the vaccine from the Supreme Lord. The devotion to Supreme Lord is the vaccine to push away and push out this virus of lust from us. And Krishna is further saying that this is never satisfied. So don't think, for example, there is a big fire. And if you think, oh, this fire is there, I will throw in 1 liter of ghee. So much ghee will come and then the fire will be put off. Will it be put off or it will burn more and more? So which means if we feed the fire, it will burn more and more. Similarly, we feed the lust or we give into the lust, or if we give what the lust wants, then it will never be satisfied. It will ask for more. It will ask for more and it will burn like fire. So here we have the insights. What is lust? So lust is basically rooted in the ignorance of our real identity. So it is that ignorance where I consider that I am this body. So it is rooted in that. And that's where the lust is rooted in. That is what the lust is. And yes, Sukirti?
While being engulfed by our biggest enemy, we think we are enjoying the most. That's the irony of life. So, if you can see the video behind on the slide, so the skeleton is dancing, and we are actually no different. Our situation is also like that. We are suffering, and how we suffer, the more we become attached, the more we hanker, the more we get frustrated in our life, and yet this attachment is not coming down. The attachment gets transformed into lust, and lust gets transformed into wrath, and this is how it goes on. And we think if we satisfy my senses, we will enjoy. So that's the irony of life. The best way to stop the fire of lust is to stop feeding it with ghee of enjoyment and let it die. So when the fire is burning, like in the fire sacrifices, we see the homa and all, and the pujari says swaha ha, and we put some ghee, and then again swaha ha, and again some ghee. So the more ghee we add to the fire, the more the fire becomes bright and radiant. So similarly, the more we enjoy our senses, or the more we give them sense gratification, the more this lust would increase. So don't think that, okay, let me enjoy whatever my heart says, let me have it, and then automatically I will become detached from it. That does not function that well. So what we have to do is stop feeding it with ghee of enjoyment. So moving to the next verse, Indriyani mano buddhir asyaadhishthanamuchyate etair vimohati tisha jnanamavritya dehinam. So now Krishna is telling Jnanam Avritya Dehinam. So Avritya, we understood, it is covering. Jnanam is what? Jnanam is knowledge, and Dehinam means one who is embodied. So the knowledge of one who is embodied. Now whom is Krishna talking about here? About us. Because our knowledge has been covered. We are embodied and our knowledge has been covered by lust. And in this verse, he is telling that where do we find lust? Where is it in our body? So Krishna says, Indriyani mano buddhir. Indriyani comes from the word Indriya. Indriya means senses. So lust resides in senses. Mano means mind, and intelligence refers to, buddhi refers to intelligence. So Krishna says, the senses, the mind, and the intelligence are the sitting places of this lust. Through them, lust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him. So we will look into the insight. Krishna is talking about that how it covers the knowledge, the real knowledge. And what is that real knowledge? The real knowledge is I am not the body, I am soul, part and parcel of Krishna. So that knowledge gets covered. And out of lust, we start thinking at times that I am the senses. I want to enjoy. I am my skin. I am my tongue. I am my ears and nose. And I want to enjoy that way. So sometimes the lust resides in senses. Sometimes it is at the mental level. We experience a lot of things in our mind. At mental level, we feel lusty. And sometimes it is in intelligence. So to understand this more, we have a quick poll here coming up on the screen. So these are just 3 questions, and you have to read it carefully and think and write, mark that where do you think the lust resides. So we'll give you 1 minute and then we will process.
And once you have done that, you please mark your attendance as well, those of you who could not mark it earlier.
Okay, last 20 seconds and then we will end it. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So here are these three situations which we have worked upon. So the first one is the aroma of the coffee forces me to have a hot cup. So like now coming to ISKCON for at least 6 months with us, and we have been discussing about how there are 4 regulative principles and one of them is no intoxication, and coffee also comes in that category because coffee agitates the mind. So I understand that I should not be having, and I resolve that I'll not have coffee. But then what happens is I go to a friend's house and I smell this fresh brewing coffee, and I just am not able to control, and I say, okay, I'll have a cup of coffee. So what is happening is in this condition, as 89% of you have marked it correctly, that this particular condition, thus the lust was actually residing within the senses. So my senses, my sense of smelling, and it paves a way for my not following the following my own decision. Coming to the second one, strong attraction towards someone of opposite sex, yet knowing that I am married, I don't make any advances, yet I enjoy thinking about him or her. So what is happening in this condition is that I find myself inclined towards a person of opposite sex, and now we understand that in all the cultures, like all the religions, all the value system, if a person is married, marriage is considered to be a very sacred institution or sacred relationship, and uh, we are not supposed to cheat on our husband or wives. So if I am already married, but now what is happening is I am finding somebody very, very interesting, I find myself very attracted to that other person, but I do not go and talk to that other person and make any advances yet, because my value system is not allowing me. But what I do is I start I start thinking about that person, imagining about that person. So what is happening is lust is residing at the mental level, at my mind level. And the third one, that I know that we don't offer food with onion and garlic, but given there are so many health benefits, I think it's okay to consume food with onions. So now here what is happening is I technically understand that Krishna does not accept food with onion and garlic, but I am not able to control because that is again lust. And where is the lust residing here? I go to Google, I do all the research, I find out the data as how onions are so good for health. So I am justifying. So I'm using my intelligence to justify that. So in this case, the lust is residing in the intelligence level. So when the lust resides at the senses level, I have no control. I just express it. So I just take that cup of coffee. When it resides at mental level, I tend to hide things because it is at mental level. So I'm hiding things. But when the lust resides at intelligence level, and intelligence is very, very powerful, more powerful than mind and senses. So when it resides at intelligence level, then I justify, I manipulate. So again, quickly, so that we remember, at the senses level, we express it. At the mind level, we hide it. And at the intelligence level, we justify or manipulate it. So moving ahead.
तस्मात् त्वम् इन्द्रियाणि आदौ नियमं भरतर्षभा पापमानं प्रजह्येनं ज्ञानविज्ञाननाशनम्. So Krishna is instructing Arjuna here. Therefore, O Arjun, best of Bharatas, in the very beginning, curb this great symbol of sin, lust, by regulating the senses and slay this destroyer of knowledge and self-realization. So Krishna has already explained about this enemy, lust. And then he has explained that this enemy, this lust, has covered the knowledge the knowledge that I am not this body, I am spirit, soul, I am servant of Lord. So this is the danger, great danger that this lust puts us in. So Krishna is saying what to do. Krishna is giving a solution here. What do we do? Curb this great enemy right in the beginning. This is what Krishna is saying in the very beginning. Curb this great symbol of sin. So most of us, we were not aware, but when we started reading Bhagavad Gita, now we are beginning to understand, oh, I'm living with my enemy. And this enemy is residing in the senses, in the mind, and in the intelligence. So what should I do? We should follow Krishna's instruction. In the very beginning, curb this great symbol of sin. And Krishna is saying that is possible by following the regulative principles. Regulate the senses to destroy this enemy. Because we cannot put off the fire by putting in fuel. We cannot put off the fire when we keep supplying it fuel. So we have to stop the supply of fuel. So we have to regulate the senses. So that will actually, gradually the fire will on its own die out. That's why in ISKCON we have the 4 regulative principles. I'm sure most of you are aware of it, but anyway, we'll revise. The first principle is no meat eating, including no onions, no garlic, no egg. Second is no intoxication, whether it is liquor or it is any other type of drug or even tea and coffee. Why? Because they are stimulants and they are habit forming. So those also have to be avoided. And third, no gambling and no illicit sex. So no illicit sex means sex life is allowed within the institution of marriage and not outside it. So these 4 are the regulative principles. And if we follow these regulative principles, the senses will tend to get controlled and we will begin to become free ourselves from this enemy of lust, which is residing in our senses, mind, and intelligence. Now, it is very interesting to note there are not many institutions, spiritual, religious institutions on this planet which actually talk about, which insist that this principle should be followed. But if you see in ISKCON, these are very boldly talked about, and it is expected that all the participants, followers, and devotees follow these 4 regulative principles. These are, if you were to use a word, these are mandatory. Why? If you do not follow, Krishna is saying it will kill, it will destroy our Gyan and Vigyan. It will destroy, I am soul, I am servant of the Lord. I will lose this very rare opportunity of this human form to develop a loving relationship with Krishna. So all this Gyan and Vigyan will be destroyed, will be pushed into lower species of life because we have chosen to thicken this layer covering of lust on us. So we have a very wonderful insight. Real freedom comes through regulating the senses. This will actually free us. So we can understand this very simply, like we are all free citizens. Why are we free? We can go anywhere we like, we can do whatever we want. We are free citizens of India or of whichever country you're residing in. Why? Because you are following the law of land. You are following those restrictions. The law of land tells what you can do, what you cannot do. So you are not doing things which are not supposed to be done, and that's why you are free. And the day we happen to break those laws, we'll be put in custody, we'll be put in jail. So if we follow these regulative principles, we'll also become free. So that's where the real freedom comes from.
Actually, what Prabhu was describing, that how in ISKCON these regulative principles. Can we go back to the previous slide? No, next one. The 4 regulative principles, as we were talking about the 4 regulative principles. So this reminded me that once Srila Prabhupada was asked that you claim to be like, you are a Vedic scholar and you are a guru of thousands of people. So do you know any magic? Can you do any tricks? Can you show what is it? What is this? What is the effect of your preaching? So Prabhupada pointed out towards his disciples who were earlier hippies. Now, hippies means no rules and regulations, not even taking bath, what to talk about following four regulative principles, and basically indulging in all these sinful activities possible. So they would have multiple sexual relationships, they would get into drugs and substance abuse. So all these things they would be doing. So when Prabhupada was asked about what is his power, how can he administer or show to the world what is his contribution? So Prabhupada pointed out to some of his devotees and he said that I have converted these hippies into happies. So those hippies who were not have any regulations at all were wonderfully following the four regulative principles. So that is how it is actually very, very basic in ISKCON. Like in other institutions or in other places, you may go and they would say, yeah, you continue doing whatever you are doing. You just visit our places also. That's all. Like no instructions of not doing anything or stopping things. But Prabhupada so boldly, initial days itself, he established it on the basis of these four regulative principles, and that is how he converted thousands of and thousands of people with hippie mentality, with enjoyment mentality, to such regulated top class Vaishnavas. So, going to the next verse now. The working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is higher than the mind. And he, the soul, is even higher than the intelligence. So Krishna is sort of explaining us the hierarchy here. So hierarchy of sitting places of lust. So the bottom down, what Krishna mentions is the dull matter. So this body, now this body is made up of panch bhut or earth, water, fire, air and ether, the gross elements. So this is dull matter. Superior to this dull matter are our senses. So we have various senses, working senses, knowledge gathering senses. So those senses are superior to the dull matter, and mind is above the senses. So mind can actually control the senses. Senses may desire certain things, but mind is the one which makes the choices. I want this, I don't want this. So senses are the instrument to enjoy, or the facility given to us so that we can enjoy the material world, but mind is the one which keeps desiring. And on what basis does mind desires, or how to control the mind? That is the function of intelligence. So if we feed our intelligence with lot of spiritual knowledge, then even if the mind desires something, like the mind may say that I want to go and have some, let's say some alcohol or something, but the intelligence, because it is fed with spiritual knowledge, so the intelligence would check the mind that what you are doing is not okay, you should not be doing that, it is sinful. So that is the function of intelligence. And above intelligence and above everything else is are we, the soul, which in original nature is pure and sinless. But if our intelligence is not fed properly with the transcendental knowledge, then actually the soul becomes thickly covered by the lust. So moving to the next one, there is a very interesting life lesson here. First, you look at this gross, like really gross video, where we are showing you a serpent, a snake, whose fangs or the poisonous teeth are being removed. So though the senses are very strong, our senses are like the serpent. So though the senses are very strong like serpent, they will be no more effective than serpents with broken fangs when engaged in Krishna consciousness. So we saw the whole hierarchy about the matter and senses and mind and intelligence. But if senses are engaged appropriately in Krishna's service, then everything would be smooth. From bottom to top, everything would be in place.
So we'll look at this last verse. Thus, knowing oneself to be transcendental to the material senses, mind, and intelligence, O mighty armed Arjun, one should steady the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence or Krishna consciousness, and thus, by spiritual strength, conquer this insatiable enemy known as lust. So on one hand, we should follow the regulative principles, and on the other hand, we empower our intelligence with this Krishna consciousness. So with this reading and studying and understanding of Bhagavad Gita, our intelligence will become spiritualized. It will by the grace of the Lord will become strong. And then Krishna is saying that one should steady the mind. Let it not get so much agitated. Let it not become so lusty, and can be controlled and made steady by the help of this spiritual strength, by this spiritual intelligence. And that is how one can gradually conquer this insatiable enemy called lust, because we have to understand that we are superior to the senses, mind, and intelligence. So these are the insights. The easiest way to conquer is spiritual knowledge, to understand our real position, our constitutional position, that we are the spirit soul servant of the Lord. Our goal and purpose of life is to develop love for Him, and thus acquire spiritual intelligence, and then we can actually conquer lust. We then actually become free from lust. So with that, we complete the session. Deepankar, you have that image. Would you like to share?
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So before we proceed any further with the image and all, before everything else, a big, huge congratulations to all of you and to both of us. You completed Bhagavad Gita intense reading of first 3 chapters one time, and we completed it teaching thrice. So thank you all. We are very grateful that because of your association, we could actually teach this Bhagavad Gita thrice, because we were taking 3 batches simultaneously. So we have completed the first 3 chapters here, one benchmark or landmark achieved. And now we are going to talk about this second module of Gita Mastery course, wherein we will be taking from chapter 4 to chapter 6. And here, chapter 4, the title itself is Transcendental Knowledge. So Krishna gives us a lot of transcendental knowledge. And then chapter 5 and 6, he gives us certain techniques about the mind control. So like many of you have been asking about mind control, or how to control ourselves. So that particular aspect we would be dealing in great detail in this second module.
Second trimester.
Second trimester. So now, as we saw that the first chapter was basically the prelude to Bhagavad Gita, where it was happening, the setting, the scene. So Arjun's confusion, and Arjun started asking questions, and that's how the Bhagavad Gita began. In second chapter, Krishna emphasized so much on fixing our foundations right. So he emphatically speaks about how the qualities of soul, how we are the soul, and the qualities of soul, and then the qualities of Sthit Pragya. In chapter number 3, proceeding from there, because Arjun has this doubt that who is better or what is better, work or renunciation, and Krishna spoke a great deal about the prescribed duties and how we must do our duties, and then he gave various processes or yoga ladder. So now in chapter 4, 5, and 6, Krishna would be expanding that transcendental knowledge and giving us specific instructions about mind control. Many of you, you have mentioned that you have forwarded the link to your friend, and your friend has also joined Gita Mastery course somewhere in between. So now this particular module, we are opening again for fresh registrations also. So we want all of you to reach out. We would be sending this flyer. So we want you to circulate this flyer among your groups. Like you have taken one box challenge and you have distributed the Bhagavad Gita to so many people. So now is the opportunity to take it to others. Like they can also enroll for the course. So this is what the course is. And the first batch, the batch is starting from 21st January. Again, the days and the time remains the same. So next week, we are taking a break. Next week, we want you to complete the quiz for chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and get your certificate. So Prabhu, would you like to explain that part?
So there is there's this quiz after chapter 3, like you have taken the quiz after chapter 1, chapter 2. So there's also quiz after chapter 3. After completing that quiz, you will receive your certificate. You can see it on your screen. So here, this is the trimester 1, chapter 3 quiz is there, which you have to take. Once you've taken that, you will get your certificate for trimester 1 of Gita Mastery course. And as usual, then you can continue for the trimester 2, the chapter 4 onwards. I guess that's about it. Sukirti, anything else?
Yes, so there are a couple of more things. Um, mm, mm, mm. Somebody asked a question here in chat. I got confused.
Okay, so
Okay, you
also,
don't have to register again for Divyank is asking if you have to register again. So no, you do not have to register again. You will just continue where you were. What I wanted to check with all of you is if you want to speak up, you can speak. If you want to type, you can type. I want to know, we noticed that many of you have not completed the quiz for chapter 2. So is there anything specific which you need from our side to help you in completing the quizzes? Why is it not done? If I may know, like many of you have not completed, though you have completed, lot of you have completed quiz for chapter 1, but not for chapter 2. So is there any specific thing which you need from our side so that it facilitates? Okay, Shailendra Ragwal, thank you very much. Your laziness was the reason. So that is why we are giving you an extra week so that you can complete chapter 2 and chapter 3. What about others?
Avni is saying that I do not have access. So Avni, in that case, I think you have to go to the website. If I don't know, you have to register there. I'm expecting that you would already be a registered user, and then you have to go to Gita Mastery course, and then you'll find the entire lesson plan, chapter 1 sessions, different sessions, and at the end of chapter 1 you'll find the quiz, and that is how you actually locate it.
And if you have any difficulty, you write to info@studygita.com and our team will help you out.
Yeah, you
Okay.
have to be determined, either send a message or write an email so that we sort it out. Okay, so we'll have Avni, pay attention here. So this is the homepage of studygita.com, and we go to login and register. On the right side, we click that. Here you can put your name, username, and email address, login. Otherwise, you can log in through your Google account. So once you press login, you go to this page, which is the page of my courses, and you can see the different courses that you would have done. So here you go to Gita Mastery course. You click on Gita Mastery course, and then you go down, and then you have the trimester 1, chapter 1, trimester 1, chapter 2. And if you see the trimester 1, chapter 2 bottom, you'll find the trimester 1, chapter 2 quiz. That's the quiz. That's what you have to click, and you have to take it. Of course, these are all open book. These are open notes. You can look into your notes and you can answer. The whole point is that you have to consolidate your learning. So now for chapter 3 quiz is available here, as you can see.
Okay, so I have got a couple of responses here. I would just like to read it out. So some of you are saying that you have completed, and then Prakash is saying that I have not completed any chapter. Can I do for all 3 now? Yes, you can complete for all 3. See, I'll tell you what can be the easy way out. Download. I'm sure you have got all the notes. So download all the notes of all the chapters. Chapter 1, we had 4 sessions. Chapter 2, we had 6 sessions. And chapter 3, we had 4 sessions. So total 14 sessions. Download all the notes for 14 sessions. Go through the notes, and then you can take the quiz so that you get good grades and you understand it well also. So you can do for all the 3 together. Okay, Srinivas is saying that giving a break for completing the quiz is a great idea. I think this would help. So that was the objective, Srinivasji, that we want all of you to like complete and be there with us. So that is why, yes, intentionally we are giving the break of next week. So in case if you have missed out 1 or 2 sessions, so that gives you almost 15 days to go through the recording, to go through the notes, and to complete your quizzes. If you are okay, so Divya is saying I'm still reading these shlokas for chapter 2. Later I want to do the quiz. Okay, but not later than 21st January. I mean, you can do later than that also, but if we give ourselves a deadline, then we'll see to it that we are completing. Otherwise, there is no end to procrastination. So I strongly insist that you all fix up your deadline for 21st January. Okay. Rashmi is asking, I have completed, but my question is regarding how we can make time every day to learn spiritual growth among our office work also. So Rashmi, these things, actually it is for doing daily. So if we can take out like 15 minutes daily and we do the revision of what we have been studying. See, we are not going purport by purport here. So that is the assignment which we are leaving up to you. So if you are doing that, like generally in a session we cover around 10 shlokas. So if you can do one and a half shloka ka purport every day, then it will keep you in constant touch with Bhagavad Gita and with the Supreme Lord.
So Geeta Suneja is saying here, so we don't register for trimester 2 as already registered for trimester 1. Yes, you're right. So all those who are already doing this Gita Mastery course, you don't have to re-register. The flyer is for new people to join in with the registration, and the answer is yes.
Okay, so here I have few more messages. Shailendra is saying, brilliant session. Key is to follow 4 regulatory principles. I need to act on the same. No more questions after today's session. So Shailendra, it is good to know that you don't have any questions after today's session. And our expectation from you is that you get 100% in the quiz, since you have no question. And then, okay, so Rashmi is a little busy because of office work. I really don't want to miss any class, not even one. Please help me. So that is why, Rashmi, we have the recordings available just in case if you are not able to attend the same day. So unlike Gita Made Easy course where we were having classes every day for 1 hour, we have only 1 hour class for 1 week. So you will have time. So yeah, Prakash is asking, no, next Sunday, no session. So yes, next Sunday we do not have a session, but we would be posting few assignments on your WhatsApp group, and that is not a quiz or a graded assignment, but that is to test your understanding of the first 3 chapters. And the answer would be descriptive answers. So we will be sending you the entire thing through your email, through the WhatsApp group, and also on the website by next week. So that is what you can do for the next week.
It's an open book assignment, which means you have access to everything at your end. Look into the questions, think about them, and then answer them to the best of your ability. Descriptive type, which means you will be answering, like Mr. Raju will write an answer and give it to us, but then we'll have several hundred answers to go through. But we really want to go through them because we want to know that how much you were able to comprehend, understand, and apply in your lives.
Actually, that particular assignment, what we are talking about, is a test of us as how far we have succeeded in information transfer. So please write it carefully so that we pass. Okay, Tavya is saying that I didn't register, but I completed quiz for chapter 1 through link. If I register now, can I get before grade also? Yes, Tavya, we will source that grade, what you have mentioned in that G form, and you can register now. We strongly insist that you register on the website. That will be very, very good for your further progress, because we are talking about not 1 or 2, but all 8 chapters, and so many sessions would be happening. So it is like a online classroom. Our website is an online classroom. So if you are registering there, then all your data, all your scores, all your notes, all your recordings, everything would be at one place, and you will be very, very easy about. I mean, it'll be very easy for you.
And at the same time, in due course of time, we will also have more courses. So for some of you, Gita Mastery is enough. 1 session per week. There's so much information to process. That's all. I'm very satisfied. For some of you, it will be like that. But some of you would be very eager. Like some time back, I was just discussing about Bhagavad Gita, and some of the participants were more eager. No, I want to do something more. I want to do something more. So we are also having in pipeline some more programs and some more courses, which you will do at your own pace in your own time. But if you want to access such programs, then you have to be part of the studygita.com. So it's like an online institution, online school, online pathshala, right? So if you become a member, of course, it will go a long way in helping and serving you.
Shanti, I read your message. You have mentioned I completed and submitted, but how do I know if you have received it, and can you please confirm? So if you have already registered at the website and you have completed the quiz, so you can go to your login and it will show quiz completed. And it will also show how much marks did you get. So you can see there. Also, if you have not completed, then we will be sending you the reminder emails. So that way you would get to know. If you have completed, then you may not get. But if you have not completed, then we would be sending you an email as a reminder. Pranav is asking, is this quiz different from the quiz before the session begins? Pranav, this is mandatory to take these quiz. Some of the questions are from the quiz at the beginning of the session and some extra questions are also there. So we recommend you to please take these quizzes.
Okay.
And many of you have mentioned thank you for today's session and you really liked it. And we are very happy that you liked it.
So we have a couple of hands up, Miss Raji and Mahalakshmi. But before that, I'll ask Mr. Raju to unmute himself. Yes.
Yeah, namaskar.
Namaskar. Hare
Krishna. Sir, I have been downloading your notes regularly. I have a small suggestion. You please examine whether it's possible to incorporate. Can you incorporate the life lessons into that? I don't find the life lessons in your notes. And life lessons are very, very educative.
Sir, actually the life lessons are a part of the notes. It is there, yeah, but we are not marking it separately. It's written there. The life lessons are also there in the notes.
Can you share one life lesson, Sukirti? Can you share the screen and show?
I don't have the...
Okay, I have downloaded today some lessons, but I did not find, because that lesson is just 3 pages or 2 pages like that. And I have not found any life lesson incorporated.
Yeah, we'll just check it out. Mr. Raju will just check. See, we are going on the website. We are clicking on the materials.
Yes, yes. I can tell you the entire file up to date. I have downloaded all these things, and I have not found the life lessons.
Just have a look at the screen. Yeah, Sukirti,
okay, can I share? Okay, where are we? Oh, can I share my screen? You have
already there on the screen. Just have a look. No, it's already.
Okay, so yeah, so sir, if you see this in the green one, imitating and following are two different things. We do not imitate Krishna as we are not God, but we follow Krishna and hence become godly. So this was one of the life lessons from this chapter. So generally, this in that dark green thing, that is the life lesson.
Okay, fine. Right. I'm sorry.
No issues, sir.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Raju. We have 3 hands up now. One, Ms. Raji, I'm requesting you to unmute yourself.
We are able to hear you and something else also.
Okay, Mataji, 1 second. TV volume hello, now it's audible?
Yes.
Thank you for that wonderful session. Actually, this semester one was very exciting for me, and for this I used to wait for every Sundays seriously when it will come. I used to go through the notes and other such things, and thank you so much, because it has enlightened me with very beautiful things in my life, and I take some decisions depending on Gita. So I find it more easy, because you have been taught it in a very easy manner. So it is not, in beginning I used to think it's very complicated, but after attending your courses, I find it very easy, and even in Gita made easy, and your mastery also you're going in more deep, so we can understand each and every bit. After listening to your session and I read Bhagavad Gita, I find that it is more easier. It would be like a recap for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Raji.
Okay, so next
here, 1 second. Here, I also read that Prakash, I think he's asking for the second time, that friends who register now for session from Jan 21st onward, how they will cover these earlier 3 chapters. So we have the recordings of the 3 chapters available. So at their own leisure, self-paced learning, they can cover these first 3 chapters. Also, Bhagavad Gita is wonderful from all the sides. So even if they miss out on the 3 chapters, still at least they can start from the 4th chapter onwards. So the recordings can be watched later on, and they can begin from the 4th chapter onwards. That is our suggestion.
Yeah, and one more thing, if you are requesting your friend, relative, family, whatever, if you're inspiring them to join this course, you can also do a little bit of hand holding and help them. So live session, of course, they can attend live, and those previous sessions, you can help them plan it and suggest, where they can attend in between during the week or sometime, so that they can cover up those sessions as well. So for example, if they were to do at least 1 or 2 sessions per week, even if they listen to at least 1 session of the previous trimester every week, they were more or less complete both the trimesters in the same time.
Together, yeah.
Okay, so next we have Mr. Rakesh. I'm requesting you to unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna Mataji and Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
माताजी, मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि आत्मा धरती पर कैसे आती है? पापा ने ये क्वेश्चन 5 बजे डाला था, पर आपने लिया नहीं।
5 बजे डाला था लास्ट वीक?
हाँ, जब था 5 बजे डाला था।
तो एक्चुअली अभी तक ईमेल आए नहीं। हम लोग अगर आंसर नहीं कर पाते हैं लाइव सेशन में, तो हम लोग उसके बाद फिर उसको ईमेल से आंसर करते हैं।
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी।
हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्णा माता जी। नहीं, I got the answer, but I am not able to make her understand. So I will ask her mother to explain her better way. So that's why, and she is asking for getting the answer. So madam is psychologist, so she can make her understand in very well in different way or different words and simple way. So that will be the better for us. Or I will ask her mother to.
So we will take this, Rakesh ji, we'll take this question today evening, live Q&A session.
Okay, okay. Understand माता जी what I am trying to say?
हाँ, मैं समझ गई, बिल्कुल समझ गई। तो शाम को ये बताएंगे।
हाँ हाँ माता जी। हरे कृष्णा माता जी।
हरे कृष्णा। मैंने उसका वीडियो देखा एक फेसबुक पर।
हाँ हाँ माता जी, मैंने वही आपको बताया था ना, इसने
हाँ,
गीता जयंती के ऊपर, मोक्ष एकादशी के ऊपर बोला था।
हाँ,
तो आपने सुना होगा पूरा?
हाँ, मैंने पूरा सुना। वेरी गुड।
हाँ हाँ।
Thank you.
So see you in the evening today. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्णा।
Hare Krishna.
Okay, so the next is Satya Narayan. I'm requesting you to unmute yourself.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी।
हरे कृष्णा।
मैंने 3rd चैप्टर का असाइनमेंट सबमिट किया है, सर्टिफिकेट कैसे डाउनलोड करेंगे?
सर्टिफिकेट आज शाम तक डाउनलोड कर सकेंगे। हम ये बैच के खत्म होने का वेट कर रहे थे, तो ये आज फाइनल बैच कंप्लीट हुआ है। अभी आप शाम को वेबसाइट पर जाकर के मे बी आफ्टर 6 o'clock आप डाउनलोड कर सकेंगे। वहीं पर आप जाएंगे जहां पर आपने 3rd चैप्टर का क्विज लिया है, उसके नीचे डाउनलोड योर सर्टिफिकेट का लिंक रहेगा और आप वहां से डाउनलोड कर सकेंगे।
English.
धन्यवाद। हरे कृष्णा। हरे कृष्णा।
So the certificate would be available at the website after 6 p.m. today. So you can complete, when you complete 1, 2 and 3 chapter quizzes, you can actually download your certificate there directly after 6 p.m.
Okay.
Okay, so looking forward to see all of you today evening for the live Q&A session, and thank you very, very much. Looking forward to meet you next week again with a fresh series of verses. वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो
नमः। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे। हरे हरे बोल।